Hello ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, innies, outies and in-betweeners. My name's Dan. Welcome back to another PAP Reports. Today is Wednesday, April the 29th, 2020. Today we start with a little story about, surprise, surprise, police force committing offences. Although a small infraction, I'm sure we would see the full extent of the law if it was one of us. South Yorkshire Police has been told off by highways officials after committing the offence of blocking a footpath, which is said to be a public right-of-way access to the Grade 2 listed Form North Yorkshire Police headquarters. The property, which the force hopes to sell to holiday firm PGL, includes the path which more than 100 residents say that they've used in recent years as designated as a public right-of-way. Residents said the force initially tried to stop residents from accessing a permissive path they have used for decades last year by gating the entrance before workmen with the police escort erected a fence in February to stop people sidestepping the gate. Highways officers said it was an offence to obstruct a public right-of-way and enforcement action could be taken. The existing public rights-of-way on the site must be protected and kept clear of any obstruction until such time as an alternative route has been provided by either a temporary or permanent order. North Yorkshire Police said it was unable to provide an immediate response to the council's statement or residents' claims. What a surprise. Learning disability care provider Turning Point, which provides supported living and residential care for people with learning disabilities, has reported that it has received 13 unlawful do not attempt cardiopulmonary resuscitation or do not resuscitate orders from hospital specialists and GPs since the beginning of April. They say that normally they would receive just around 12 a year, which all require a legal challenge. The orders have been sent out despite NHS England telling all primary care community trust and acute CEOs on the 3rd of April that any decisions on a treatment for people with learning disabilities and or autism should be made on an individual basis. Why the hell would they be asking for people with learning disabilities or autism to die? What next? People with ingrowing toenails? NHS Trust, GP providers and clinical commissioning groups were apparently told on the 7th of April not to send out blanket do not resuscitate forms, something which Matt Hancock repeated in a daily briefing. Julie Bass, Chief Executive of Turning Point, said over the past 2 weeks we have come across more unlawful DNRs put in place for people who lack mental capacity than we would normally see in an entire year. We will always challenge these decisions robustly. Make an advanced decision not to administer CPR if a person's heart stops solely because they have a learning disability is not only illegal, it is an outrage. We are seeing DNR orders that have not been discussed with the person themselves, the staff who support and care for them, or their families. This is very concerning as it may potentially lead to people being denied life-saving treatment that other patients would be granted. I mean, this is absolutely shocking. But unfortunately, this is what we're being faced with at the moment, people. Former PC Robert Deering faced a misconduct hearing on March the 31st over allegations of gross misconduct after being convicted of attacking a woman in Germany in October 2017. Deering left his position with Metropolitan Police South West Command Unit on January the 12th. In a hearing, Mr. Deering answered allegations that his actions breached the standards of professional behaviour in respect of discreditable conduct, authority, respect and courtesy. The panel decided that all of the allegations were proven as misconduct and therefore the former officer would have been dismissed had he still been serving. Clearly he got the nudge to leave before that happened. 46-year-old Matthew Terrill from South Yorkshire died at Sheepcote Lane Police Station in Sheffield on Wednesday the 22nd of April. South Yorkshire Police are yet to divulge any information as to why he was arrested, but the force has referred itself to the IOPC as is standard practice for deaths following police contact. Tests to find out how he died have been carried out, however, the results are not yet available. A spokesperson for the IOPC said officers were still gathering information and that the investigation was in the early stages. What's the betting it will be COVID related? Norfolk Police are trying to trace an individual in order to provide words of advice. Residents of Hellesdon in Norwich have recently been visited by an individual walking around the village dressed as a 17th century plague doctor. Wearing a black cloak, hat and beak-like mask, which was used to stuff herbs into in the belief it helped to prevent germs and to help with the smell of death. It said the individual has been dressing this way for about 2 weeks whilst on their daily walk. Some residents have raised concerns that it's terrifying for kids and just not normal. Of course, it's not like kids have ever seen anyone wearing a costume before. And considering it's a 17th century costume, how do they even know what it represents? Some residents, however, have not been quite so square about it. One said, "I admit he is a bit weird, but what harm is he doing? Made me giggle." Another pointed out it's not illegal, and if he can't wear it now, when could he? Norfolk Police said officers were aware of concerns raised about an individual who was seen walking around the Hellesdon area wearing a plague outfit. They said no offence had been committed, but officers were keen to trace the individual in order to provide words of advice about the implications of his actions on the local community. Clearly looking to police his thinking and, no doubt, threaten him with a public order offence. Metropolitan Police have issued warnings about drivers exceeding the speed limit as roads are more empty than usual. Metropolitan Police's lead officer for road safety in London tweeted a picture of a recorded speed of 162 miles per hour over the weekend and warned of the consequences of excessive speed. Priti Patel said, "We've seen speeds of up to 151 miles an hour clocked on the M1, 134 miles an hour in a 40 mile an hour zone in London as police and fire continue to put their arms around people and our communities by taking people shopping and taking prescriptions to the elderly, driving ambulances and supporting those in need throughout this difficult time." Drivers in Manchester have also been taking advantage of quieter roads, with 4 in 10 cars said to be exceeding the speed limit, says Mayor Andy Burnham. The Mayor said figures show an expected large decrease in the number of vehicles on the road, but the number of speeding motorists has doubled. Meanwhile, West Midlands Police said they seized 9 off-road bikes and made a string of arrests after yobs turned empty city roads into racetracks over the Easter bank holiday weekend. Police said the COVIDiots were running amok on Birmingham's highways, and the force would continue to clamp down on such behaviour throughout the lockdown. Now, I get this isn't a police being naughty story, but I felt it was important to add it here nonetheless. While the country is in lockdown and there are less people on the streets, on foot or in vehicles, it's going to lull people into a false sense of security. It's easy to think that no one will be around the next bend or no one's going for a walk out in front of me because they're all at home. But come on, folks. If you're a driver that likes to go a bit quicker, just remember that there are still people on the road and on foot who, like you, might be thinking exactly the same thing. You know, nothing's going to happen because everyone's on lockdown. If you're out doing it, then it's pretty much guaranteed that others are doing the same. And dropping your guard for just one moment could ruin your life or end the life of somebody else. Please think about it whilst you're out on the roads. A group of policing students studying policing at the University of Derby, a degree licensed by the College of Policing, have been suspended after sharing Instagram messages making jokes about child rape, sexual assault and lewd sexual comments about young women, including fellow students. 2 of the men in the chat were already serving as Derbyshire's special constables and are now facing an inquiry into their conduct. The chat was revealed after a course mate took screenshots and shared them on Facebook, writing, "The comments made about each of the girls are degrading and humiliating and shows their complete disrespect to women. The same boys in this group chat are aspiring to be police officers. Please do not let these boys get away with this." One of the screenshots was a picture of a girl with one group member describing a hypothetical sex act. "Straight in the vag, then in the gob, and back out of gob straight back into the vag," he writes. Another instance sees the boys discuss chat-up lines. "I might slide in," one says. "What lines shall I use?" "Are you a child because I want to rape you?" another replies. The University of Derby said in a statement, "We were incredibly disappointed to see the degrading and offensive language used in online forums about some of our female students. Such behaviour is unacceptable and will not be tolerated and is being addressed with the utmost urgency. The male students involved in making these comments have been suspended, and we are working with an external specialist agency to carry out a full and formal investigation. We are following our sexual misconduct policy and processes to ensure this is conducted fairly and thoroughly, and have offered support to the female students affected by this. I can't wait for the next wave of police to hit the streets. But if this is anything to go by, I'm never going to run out of content. In PAP Reports on the 23rd of April, I showed you how one Kent police constable accidentally drove his car through a garden wall. Well, it seems it's as catching as coronavirus, as South Wales Police on an emergency response ploughed into a garden wall of a home in Swansea. Thankfully, no one was injured. One resident said, "I heard a bang, wondered what it was. I came to see what it was, and there was a van through the wall." There were two officers who came inside the female officer. Slip of the tongue. There were two officers who came inside. The female officer was in a hell of a state. South Wales Police confirmed no one was injured in the incident. And thank God the police drivers are as highly trained as they are and take so many precautions with regular training to ensure they're safe to drive at high speeds. This could have been a hell of a lot worse. Lancashire Police have apparently offered a victim of rape £2,000 in what could be seen as a bid to prevent her speaking out over the loss of interview tapes. The victim is said to have had to go through hours of medical examinations and traumatic interviews with Lancashire Police, which the force is said to have admittedly lost after the victim was advised to request all of the evidence after a police constable allegedly claimed the victim cancelled the investigation in a phone call. Yet the constable had made no log entries, had never tried to contact the victim to seek a signed closure interview, and there are no phone logs at all to support the constable's version of events. It's also been said that this Lancashire Police constable was found to be ordering dirty used knickers, size 6, off of eBay to satisfy his own fetish, and having them delivered to him at work in a police station. It is understood that the alleged rapist and the accomplice have both been interviewed under police caution, something which apparently the police did not previously do, even though both were known to police. The victim has confirmed that she has no intention of settling with the police and wants them to face her in court. It's also suggested that the constable who was ordering dirty underwear from eBay not only kept his job, but it is also believed that he moved into Lancashire Police's cybercrime unit, where he will now have access to images from rape incidents and paedophiles. A researcher at Brisbane's QIMR Berghoff Medical Research Institute, expert Dr. Rachel Neal, says that along with regularly washing your hands and avoiding to touch your face, subjecting yourself to 10 minutes of sunshine a day can also help to reduce the risk of catching the coronavirus. Dr. Neal says that having low levels of vitamin D can leave you vulnerable to contracting COVID-19. Speaking to The Australian, she explained, "Now more than ever is not the time to be vitamin D deficient. It would make sense that being vitamin D deficient would increase the risk of having symptomatic COVID-19 and potentially having worse symptoms. And that's because vitamin D seems to have an important effect on the immune system." In a study last year, Dr. Neal tested 78,000 participants and found that those with low vitamin D levels were almost twice as likely to develop acute respiratory infections. Those people were also more likely to be sicker for longer, according to the research. Vitamin D is naturally produced in our bodies in response to sunlight and can also be found in a number of foods, including egg yolks, red meat and oily fish. However, during the lockdown, the NHS, our ever-loving NHS, are advising people to consider 10 micrograms of vitamin D a day instead. Because nothing beats a good dose of actual sunshine like a pill. The NHS highlights that while several studies are looking into the benefits of vitamin D amid the coronavirus pandemic, a link is yet to be proven. It added there have been some news reports about vitamin D reducing the risk of coronavirus. However, there is no evidence that this is the case. Well, I'd say that a research test of 78,000 people is pretty damn close to proving a point. A big thank you to Patreon supporters AD, Audrey, Bill, Carl, Chris, Copwatch UK, Danielle, Dave, Dean, Holly, Ian, Jay, Marty Lab, Mr. Mina, Peter, President Trump, Rich, Savas and Stephen. Your support is really helping me to continue to provide you with this daily content. Anyway, that is all I have for you today. Please like, share, comment and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts, as I know many of you will. And until next time, stay safe, look after each other, film the police and other officials.
Good night, all.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you like the content and you'd like to help support the channel, you can do so. In the description of every video there are some links to ways that you're able to help support the channel so I can continue putting out content. If you're unable to help us in that way, hit that subscribe button up the top there. If you haven't already, become a subscriber. That is support enough. Share the videos, comment, like, it all helps. If you're looking for something else to watch, up top there is my latest video. Down the bottom there is a video that YouTube recommends for you.